31st, 2019, at about 3:20 in the afternoon, there was an explosion of violence at the intersection of Slauson and Crenshaw.
On this day, the acclaimed rapper Nipsey Hussle was Now the trial is underway for the man charged in the crime, Eric Holder.
After that happened, they went in the family house. They wiped out his whole family. Baby mama, granny. Them niggas dead. Like, they went and did John's that same day. That people's behind that. And it's like, most would have been like, I ain't got shit to live for. Y'all my people. Big, and if Big U, that's you know, I gotta play devil's advocate. Because if Big U was actually in on it, I would be like, you paid me or you did whatever, and I did, and I held up my end of the bargain.
The tragic death of Nipsey Hussle in 2019 sent shockwaves through Los Angeles and beyond, igniting deep grief and intense speculation. Among the many theories surrounding his passing, there's a new one going around concerning his killer. A woman from LA claimed that the family of Eric Holder, the man convicted of killing Nipsey, faced brutal retaliation. Allegedly, Holder's entire family was targeted and killed as news of Nipsey's passing spread. This revelation adds another layer to the complex web of street politics, gang affiliations, and personal vendettas that many believe played a role in Nipsey's tragic end. But how much of this is grounded in truth? Let's find out. The beef between Big U and Nipsey. So recently, a woman from LA managed to stir up quite the storm on social media as she revealed the nitty-gritty details about Nipsey and his killer. She talked about how Big U might have been involved in the rapper's passing. Now, according to sources, the woman's got all the gangster connections necessary to come across information like this. She's from the rolling 60s, and so when she says that Big U's guilty, people might want to hear her out. Still, what proof does she have? Well, according to the woman, everyone in LA was well aware of the tensions between Big U and Nipsey. They might have worked in the same industry, but there was no love between the two, especially after Nipsey walked out on Big U. You see, Big U got the keys to Nipsey's label. Unfortunately, Nipsey wasn't interested in working with Big U, who in turn couldn't stomach the fact that a moneymaker had in fact ruined his plans of, well, making money.
When it first happened, everybody in LA thought Big U said shit. We all thought that. We all did. We thought it was Big U, and then we thought, people was like, no, it wasn't Big U, da-da-da. And then it was like, oh yeah, it was the government. Like, come on now. That's what the world was saying, the government on some weird shit. But all of LA, yeah, we all thought Big U did it. We already felt like it. Because like Black Sam said, I didn't even watch that interview. I honestly didn't. I saw a couple of clips or whatever. But living in LA, I remember when Big U and Nip got into it because Nip didn't want to be under his label no more, because Big U was trying to Big U had bought the Crenshaw label, the Crenshaw brand, like that, and yeah, like basically trying to extort Nip and had him in a fucked up ass deal. So when Nip finally got out of that deal, you know what I'm saying, he went about his way or whatever, and Big U didn't like that, and so they had animosity or whatever. This is just me living in LA, I know this. And then I remember when Nip started with YG, and he had brought YG to the 60s, and when he brought YG to the 60s, I remember Big U was trying to pop shit about it, like how you bringing this whoop-de-whoop to the hood, this and that, and Nip peeled out his shirt.
What's more, Nipsey also ended up on Big U's bad side after he brought the YGs to the rolling 60s.
I remember when Nip started with YG, and he had brought YG to the 60s, and when he brought YG to the 60s, I remember Big U was trying to pop shit about it, like how you bringing this whoop-de-whoop to the hood, this and that, and Nip peeled out his shirt, and he was like, nah, get down for cuz whoop whoop, and Nip had to run phase to have YG in the 6-0s, but he did that. But Big U was trying to give him a hard time because Big U was mad that he wasn't trying to give him no money, you know? He didn't want to be under that deal no more. So that's what that was. So I remember that. So then when Nip died, because I remember Nip didn't want nothing to do with Big U.
Now, Folks have been suspecting Big U as the man responsible for Nipsey's passing since day one. However, Big U has denied the allegations multiple times, but according to the LA woman, that's far from the truth. Sure, he's not the one who pulled the trigger, but you can bet good money that he had a role in putting Eric on that street that day. Why's that? Well, you see, based on what we know went down, it took Eric 3 attempts to get the job done, and you'd think someone would land a bullet in him when he turned around for the second time. But no, for some mysterious reason, no one on that corner pulled out a weapon that day. And if you know the streets, you know how completely impossible that sounds.
Who would have known? Like, people, you had to be a part of the 6 O's. You had to be in his circle to know. Everybody knew, like, Nip. If you saw that Maybach on Slauson, that Nip was there. Everybody knew that. We always knew that. But yeah, so everybody knew that when his Maybach is on Crenshaw, that Nip is there or whatever. But like Black Sam said, I seen that clip when he was like, usually be having burners and stuff. That's what, when you live in LA, we all know that it's like, it's always burners, and it's like in a spot. That was a spot. So it's always burners up in there, some protection, and it's Nipsey, bro. So you'd be stupid. All in LA kept saying like, bro, why nobody had no burners? Why nobody was back? Why nobody was doing nothing? Like, nobody back. Nobody did nothing. And that is crazy to have no burners, right? So when we looked at that, all of LA was just like, nah, that was an inside job. Because there's no way in hell you got Nip in the parking lot on Slauson and Crenshaw, and there's no burners, like, at all. So it was like, so Big U pay all the in the spot not to have the burners? I mean, you know, to be lacking. And it was like, did also on top of sending cause like how he came the 2 times, he came the first time, he scoped out the scenery. We saw all of that, right? That was very evident. And then he come back in a red shirt. Oh boy, to Nipsey. But it's like usually in LA, like in a spot like that, be on point looking at everything.
And so these circumstances hint at a much more sinister plot, unraveling in the shadows. The fact that no one pulled out a weapon suggests that everyone was paid off to let the series of events play out on their own.
Should have been like, oh, this is the second time. That's like when a car going around your block. You're like, this car just went around the block like twice. You know, when it come again, that's the same car. Be on that type of stuff. So it's like, I feel like that's why Black Sam don't with none of them, because he feel like them niggas either f***ed up or they was in on it. So I get it.
But why would everyone agree to something like that? Well, it's completely possible if you have someone like Big U offering people money.
All of them look suspect. That's why Black Sam don't f*** with none of them. They all look suspect. I felt like it wasn't just she was just a shooter, bro. It was more than that. Like, it was more than involved. He was just a shooter.
Unfortunately, the cost of taking a life is a steep one, and Eric seems to be paying it now. Holder loses entire family. Apparently, after the news of Nipsey's passing made rounds on the internet, members of Eric's family became targets. Given the deep sense of loss that rippled through the community, it's not difficult to understand why such rumors surfaced. Whether you were a fan of his music or not, Nipsey's passing was a heartbreaking tragedy, leaving fans, friends, and loved ones grappling with overwhelming grief. And so, in the wake of this collective mourning, public outrage quickly turned toward Holder, the man held responsible for the crime. To many, Eric became the embodiment of injustice, and everyone agreed that he deserved the harshest punishment imaginable for his actions. And as fate would have it, some folks in LA took that upon themselves. According to the LA woman, Holder's family ended up 6 feet under the ground shortly after everything with Nipsey went down.
I think that if Big U was in on it, for sure, I think shitty. Because, bro, you remember, after that happened, they went in this family house. They wiped out his whole family. Baby mama, granny. Them niggas, like, they went and did John's that same day. That people's behind that. And it's like, most would have been like, I ain't got shit to live for. Y'all keep my people. Big, and if Big U, that's you know, I gotta play devil's advocate. Because if Big U was actually in on it, I would be like, you paid me or you did whatever, and I did, and I held up my end of the bargain. But now my whole family got behind this shit. You couldn't even keep my people safe. You know what I'm saying? Which is stupid, because why would you somebody like Nipsey and then leave your mama and them on the block in the 60s? You supposed to get them up out of there before you even went to scope the scenery. So, yeah, you know, like for me, I probably would have been mad and hurt and feeling vindictive. And I probably would have been like, you know what? That put me up to it. That I'm just telling you, I'm keeping it real. I don't got else to live for. They wiped up my whole family after I did this nigga a favor. I don't give a. He said I was in the jungles when it happened. Ghetto bird went up fast. There ain't no way paperwork on shit he ever snitching. There ain't no paperwork. I didn't say he snitched. I'm saying if devil's advocate is they trying to say Big U put him up to it. If Big U actually put him up to it, after he killed Nipsey, his whole family got wiped out within hours. They were dead. We know this. And so, because they still lived in the 60s. So therefore, if it was me, ain't no way Big U could have kept me quiet after that. Because I did you a favor or I did whatever the and you couldn't even keep my family safe.
From what the woman is implying, it looks like Big U didn't hold up his end of the bargain. But what's really interesting is that her words seem to match a report from 2019, which said that Eric had lost another loved one. Based on multiple sources from the streets, Eric's father had been taken out in retaliation for his son's crimes. What's even more unsettling is that this was the fourth person to pass away in the Holder household. And worst of all, Eric was forced to accept his new reality while he stayed locked inside a jail cell with his hands tied. That said, there's not a long line of people sympathizing with him. In fact, a lot of folks seem to think that this is divine intervention for taking a life. And so the tragic events surrounding Nipsey Hussle's passing continue to stir emotions and speculation, especially with claims about the Holder family's fate. While rumors and street whispers often blur the line between fact and fiction, one thing remains clear. Nipsey's loss left an undeniable void in his community, sparking conversations about justice, loyalty, and the high price of street politics. As new details and allegations come to light, the truth behind these dark events remains a mystery. In the end, the cycle of violence serves as a sobering reminder of the devastating impact such tragedies leave in their wake.